play a guitar.
An iconic sound made famous by The Edge from U2. And if you're like me, the first time you heard it, you were probably wondering, how is this guy playing all those notes? Well, it's easier than you think if you can use your delay correctly. So what I'm going to go through today is dotted eighth delay, and how I like to use it is what I call my not-so-secret weapon. So let's get into it. Dotted eighth delay is exactly what it says it is. It will hit back at you on the dotted eighth note. So your tempo is set at quarter notes, and when you play something, you will hear the delay come back at you on one and a. So if I set a tempo, get that going, I'm expecting to hear ba 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 ba. All right. Now that's pretty cool, but how can you really use it? If you play straight eighth notes over that, this is what you get. All right. So now we're getting somewhere. We're getting closer to the Edge's sound, and that's what we're looking for. To really show you how I dial things in, I pulled up the Line 6 software. So this is showing you what's going on inside my HX effects unit. Right now we're looking at the delay. It's set on dotted eighth. And the thing to really look at is your mix. This mix right here, I like to set it at 50%. What that means is the signal that I'm putting in, it's going to be at the same level as what's coming back at me with the first hit from the delay. Now the amount of hits on the delay, that's what you look at in your feedback, and you don't want that to be dragged out too long, or else it could muddy up what you're playing. So that's the basics of where I like to set these things, and you can play with it however you want to, but that's a good starting point. 50% on the mix, and a feedback that's 50% or less. Alright, nice. We've got our levels dialed in. So what could go wrong? Tempo. If you get your tempo wrong, it will sound like a hot, steaming pile of garbage. So up to this point, we've been pretty good. Lined up with the beat, everything's sounding like it should. Pretty good, right? But if I dial in my delay tempo so that it doesn't line up, which is hard for me to do because I'm so ingrained with just going with the beat. Let's see if we can do this. It will sound terrible. That is not what we're going for. So tempo, 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 tempo is the key. All is right with the world. I've redialed in my tempo, and I feel so much better. So what I really want to show you now is why I consider dotted eighth notes kind of my secret weapon. For me, sometimes I use it to play things that are more complicated or difficult than I can really play on my own in a normal setting. Let's just take the beginning to Eye of the Tiger as an example. So this is an alternate picking type of intro to this song. And if you were going to play it, and I stink at alternate picking, and this is why I'm using this as an example. So if you're going, you got to keep that up for the entire beginning of the entire song. I'm not confident enough to put that out in front of people in a live setting. So what I might do instead is throw in my dotted eighth delay and just play eighth notes instead of doing the alternate picking, all downstrokes. Much easier. I can keep that up for a really long time, and it sounds uniform, and it sounds good, and the audience is not going to know the difference. So again, that's a little way I treat it as almost a secret weapon. Before I wrap this video up, I wanted to show you one more wrinkle that I usually put in my signal chain, and it's another delay. So I pulled up the Line 6 software again, and you can see this is the dotted eighth delay that we've had on the whole time. In parallel with it, I put a quarter note delay, and what this will do is it'll help fill out my sound. And instead of just the dotted eighth, I'll get something that'll sound kind of like this. You get both delays working in tandem, in parallel, and it creates a nice effect. Just another way that you can play with it. Now, what if I was to put these in series? What would that sound like? Not quite the same, because that first delay, that quarter note that I threw up in there, is now feeding into the dotted eighth, and you're getting a mishmash of it all put together. So if you're going to do this, you're going to want to put it in parallel so that you get each delay running independently and you get this nice effect. So that's just a little bonus tip for you. Delay, like reverb, is often used to accentuate your sound, to add a little bit of flavor to it. With dotted eighth note delay, it can actually be used as part of the instrument, where it's kicking back notes that you might not be able to play on your own in a normal situation. Now, if we're talking about the Edge's sound, we simplified it here. He's got a pretty complicated setup where he's got amps over here and there, and microphones are feeding into this one and that one, and so he's got his own thing. But we simplified it here, and this will get you 90% of the way. In a live setting, I love using dotted eighth note delay. It gives me confidence to play some things that I might not be so confident to play without it, and I think it provides a pretty nice sound. So if you like what you saw, subscribe, hit the like button, and we'll see you on the next one.
Okay, guitar.